That's right.
Talked to her yesterday.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the June 23rd meeting of the Board of Governors of Missouri Western State University. We have a quorum present. Governor Schoonover, we have had contact with her and she is on her way and will be here shortly. But since we have a quorum, we'll go ahead and get started. I call the meeting to order. First order of business, though, I would like to turn it over to Governor Landis, who is the chair of the Personnel, Finance, and Operations Committee.
Okay, the Finance Committee meeting minutes are in the book. I'd like to ask for a motion of approval from the committee to where we'll make the recommendation directly to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so with that, Mr. Chairman, we move this committee for approval of the financial minutes.
So it has been received. Thank you, Governor Landis. Then I would lead us into, I would welcome a motion to approve the April 22nd, 2021 Board of Governor meeting minutes that are in your board book. Of a motion.
Chair. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
To accept those minutes.
Okay, thank you, Governor Wallman.
Second.
A second,
Second.
Governor Landis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the April 22nd board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The minutes are approved. Which almost have to get reaccustomed back in here. It's so pleasant not to have to wear masks on campus and talk through them and having people in the room. That's fantastic. We're so excited for the progress we're making. Hopefully, as a community, we can continue that progress so that we can have meetings and events and get-together and social functions just like this. So it is nice, and I applaud administration here for all the efforts they have done during the difficult times of the pandemic to get our campus to this spot. That will move right into the reports of the vice presidents, leading off with his last report is our provost and vice president of academic and student affairs, Dr. Doug Davenport, and certainly bittersweet that we welcome you here, but we also acknowledge this will be the last time as your well-deserved retirement is just around the corner.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you, Governor, team, and members of the board for the opportunity to speak to you this one last time, as you note, and I've been asked about remarks, and I've said I will probably drone on for 30 or 40 minutes. No, I will not. I absolutely know that the best remarks are those which are kept short, but I do want to bring the board some good news today on several fronts. I think it's important as we look to the future of Missouri Western that our focus is how to be successful, how to help our students to succeed and see this university move forward. And I remain committed fully to that, and I'm grateful for the progress we have made. And I begin by noting that we have had several new programs that have been approved by the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development. I want to highlight, first of all, our Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy program. We are truly excited to begin this program in short order. There is a high demand for workers in this field. It is a need in our region that is critical, and Missouri Western is poised to assist in meeting that need. This is completely consistent with our mission of applied learning, open access, and it will help us to meet the needs of our region in ways that I think are consistent with everything that we have been doing over the last few years. Speaking to Interim Dean Harris today about the program in the future, she remarked that the first meeting of the new advisory board for the program is preparing to meet yet this week. And so this is good news. We're making progress on this front. A second area that I think is crucial is a Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. This program, of course, will meet a very critical need. You don't have to pick up the paper any particular day, but what you will read an article of some organization, governmental entity that has been held hostage, if you will, because of a data breach. So cybersecurity is a continuing critical need in our region, and Missouri Western is once again poised to assist in the development of leaders in that field. Looking forward to what will come from that. And I want to say a special thank you to Frank Luciska, an alum who has helped us to both create the framework for the program, but even more crucially, to help us identify partners in the region that will develop a pipeline, both for the program itself, but also for students and, of course, jobs for those who graduate. This is important. Thirdly, I want to note that we have a new Master of Arts in Teaching program. We know there is a critical shortage of teachers, and this has been a challenge for us in this region for some time, as it is all across the state, particularly in the areas of the STEM programs. And I think what we are doing with a Master of Arts in Teaching is preparing individuals who have previously received a degree in an undergraduate field to prepare them to become excellent teachers in high schools. And talking to our interim dean, Susan Bashinsky, regarding this new program, the very first day that we had received approval from the state, we already had a student who was preparing to be admitted to the program. He is a young man from New York who has a degree in biology. So again, these are all examples of the ways in which Missouri Western is moving forward to meet the needs of our region and to be attractive to new students, which is, of course, crucial. I want to also note that this past spring, we were pleased to see the 100th graduate from our MBA program, which we just mounted that program recently, and yet here we are seeing the success that we have, and I'm grateful for that. As I know the president is going to be speaking more in detail about this, I won't say much, but the state of Missouri has awarded us a Gears Mo Excels grant with regard to our respiratory therapy program, and it strengthens what we're already doing for the Center for Excellence in Applied Healthcare Learning. So not to say more about that, but again, Missouri Western is being recognized and is moving forward in those areas. Two things that I want to update the board on that have been projects over the last year. One is the Master Academic Plan. That is moving forward. We're in the final stages of having that ready for the board to see it. I'm very pleased with it, and I am extremely grateful to Dr. Elise Hepworth, the interim vice provost, who has done yeoman's work in helping us to get that in order, along with an entire team that she has been working with. Likewise, our academic program review guidelines. As you know, this board last April, a year ago in April, charged us with the expectation that we would review on a regular basis programs so that we do not see ourselves put in a position once again of having to close numerous programs, because we know that process is painful and we want to avoid it and make good decisions with regard to our academic program inventory. And that process is being concluded as we speak, waiting on feedback on the final version of those guidelines. But this will equip us to essentially be ready to review programs on a regular basis so that every academic program in a period of 5 years has been reviewed. One other thing that I want to note, and that is that we are preparing, as you are aware, for an upcoming assurance review with the Higher Learning Commission. This is one of the most important things that we do in terms of our institutional accreditation. And I'm pleased to report that we are prepared for that. We are finalizing the document that will be reviewed by a team from the Higher Learning Commission, team of peer reviewers. And my thanks to Dr. Joel Heyer, Dean of the College of Liberal Arts, who has been leading that process recently. And so we look forward to having that process completed, because that review will happen during the month of August. With that, I just want to say one other thing, and that is I want to express my thanks both to this board, to our administration, to this university for allowing me to serve over the past several years here. It has been my privilege. And I've looked back and I have never once regretted coming to Missouri Western. This is an excellent institution. We have a strategic place in Missouri, and I believe that the future is bright for us. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the well wishes. And I look forward to seeing what happens in the future, because I know it will be a good one. With that, I will conclude my remarks, and happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Dr. Davenport on his report? We will certainly have some more congratulatory wishes to you throughout this meeting and at some more appropriate times. But it goes without saying the gratitude that the board and the university has for your dedicated service in a variety of capacities. You have had to wear a lot of different hats, hats that you may not even anticipated that you were going to have to wear, but you always put the university first and took whatever role that was necessary. I have certainly appreciated working with you more closely in this role, and the university is certainly better off for having you your tenure that you have served here. So that's personal gratitude to that. Thank you, Dr. Davenport. Next, we will hear from Dr. Melissa Mace on enrollment or Vice President of Enrollment Management. Dr. Mace.
Thank you. Chairman Tiemann, governors, Dr. Kennedy, colleagues, and Missouri Western community. Thank you for the opportunity to present the work of the Division of Enrollment Management today. I would like to start with the ongoing implementation of SLATE, the customer relationship management system utilized primarily in the admissions for recruiting new students to Missouri Western. The reason I say primarily admissions is because now, at no additional cost to the university, we can use SLATE to communicate more effectively with our current students. As you can see on the PowerPoint, the current student phase began last week. What this means is that when we complete phase 1 of implementation on October 1, we will be able to communicate with our current students through this system on registration for courses, sending them reminders and activities, talk to them about activities occurring on campus. Additionally, after the completion of the second phase, we will be able to do event registration through SLATE as well. Of course, we've been able to reach our current students through email. However, what SLATE will allow us to do is communicate in the same way we communicate with prospective students. And we will be able to track click-through rates and open rates and know that our message is being delivered to our student body. We are wrapping up the undergraduate recruitment phase of SLATE implementation. Our new undergraduate application will go live on July 6th and the undergraduate phase concludes on July 19th. The undergraduate phase was an 8-month process, and I fully expect a successful implementation. Finally, the graduate application will go live on September 7th. I want to thank the Board of Governors and the Missouri Western community for making the investment in the system. I truly believe it will pay dividends. I also want to acknowledge our CRM administrator, Carol Suvera, and I want to commend her for the countless hours of work that she has poured in to making sure that we are successful with Slate. As you arrive today, you may have seen some of our newest Griffins getting their IDs, registering for classes, and learning more about campus life. It has been great to see our Griffins back on campus and in the gallery today. A great deal of work has gone into Go Orientation program, and I want to recognize Melissa Stahlbaumer, her team, the student ambassadors, and all the staff and faculty who have put so much into making this a success. Planning Go while juggling the extra demands placed on her to prepare for multiple COVID scenarios is an extraordinary challenge. And I want to thank everyone for their hard work in making the Go orientations a success. As of now, we have completed 4, almost 5, today is our 5th Go orientation days. We are experiencing a show rate of 88% so far. Go orientation days are also scheduled for July and August and will continue scheduling new Griffins for those coming Go sessions. We are yet to be where we want to be with Go registrations. Therefore, we will continue to aggressively recruit students to our university through a variety of means. These means will culminate in August with a final walk-in registration opportunity at the end of summer, just prior to the start of the fall semester. We will continue with the robust email and texting campaign, print pieces, radio, billboards. We will continue to utilize social media, campaigns through our CRM, and our recruitment team will continue to reach out to accepted students to share the Missouri Western story. On this slide, you will see a snapshot of where we are and the work remaining. Let's start with the freshman students. To date, we have admitted 2,078 first-year students, with 693 students committing to Missouri Western and 602 currently registered for orientation. As of census last year, there were 690 degree-seeking freshmen enrolled at Missouri Western. We will continue to work to close the gap, but at this time, it is difficult to predict whether or not we will. However, if you look at the transfer student numbers, you see that gap between our committed student number and the fall 2020 census number is quite small. While it is difficult to predict without good comparison data, it is reasonable to expect that we will exceed that number of the 2020 census and further close any gap left with the freshman student enrollment. You will see another promising yet unpredictable population, students who stopped out and now wish to return, our readmits. With 138 already committing, we have reason to expect we will meet or exceed the 2020 census enrollment number. At the same time, we are working to enroll current students, recruit, orient, and register new students. We must also launch the next recruitment cycle. This cycle will launch on time and will include a robust and diverse campaign utilizing everything we have in our arsenal to meet your expectations for 2022. I will conclude my remarks at this time and take any questions you may have.
Dr. Mace, on your slide, when you said there's the committed student, what does committed mean?
Committed students means that they have said, yes, we want to come to Missouri Western. It's not a 100% done deal, but it does mean they're thinking very hard about us. So what we do is we ask them to commit to us and then register for orientation. So not every student who commits registers for orientation immediately, because they don't know when they actually want to come to orientation. They're still juggling family vacations. And so they're working with their family to figure out a good time for them.
Does committed have any financial commitment from the prospective student?
It does not.
Is that customary in the industry?
We compared that to what some of our regional competitive institutions in our area, and it is on par with what we're seeing others in the area do.
Are there any, you've listed the kind of bullet points of different broad-based things that are being done. Is there any specific push being done for the 11th hour trying to get our numbers up?
Yes, absolutely. We are, number one, we are sending all of our committed students branded swag boxes or goodie boxes. So they will all receive a nice box from us. It's a start of the year box of goodies. So every one of our committed students will receive that box in July. We are calling our students every day, emailing them and texting them. We do follow-ups if they do not show for go. We call them to get them rescheduled for another time to understand maybe better why they did not come today. So as I mentioned, their 88% show rate. We're calling that 12%. After every go, we call them to reschedule them for another go. Most of the time, it's just, I don't know when I can come, but I'm coming. So that is the typical response we receive from students. Again, however, there is no way to know what is in the prospective student heart and mind.
You understandably have not been here for a full calendar year cycle.
Correct.
Are you able to note things for next year that we could do to improve our process?
Yes, I think one of the things that really hindered, there are multiple things that have hindered us, of course, COVID being the star in that lineup, but getting a late start, late admit. So we didn't actually start the admit process and all of that until very late because there were challenges with the CRM, which was one of the reasons we made a switch in late October to move from one company to another in helping us implement the CRM. So we went with Strata Information Group in the end, and they have been phenomenal. They know a lot about the admission process. They know a great deal about the CRM, and they have really worked with us to build up this robust recruitment tool for us. I think that's going to make a huge difference. We're also going to make some small adjustments with our recruitment staff. So in the past, because of the size of our university, we have every reason to expect that we should get to know all of our recruits and build relationships. So as with a lot of public institutions, a lot of larger institutions, the recruitment team goes out and they recruit. And then the behind the scenes operational staff process. And there's not a lot of relationship building that goes on there. So we're going to make a shift there with the new recruitment cycle. our recruiters will actually do the first level of admission so that they can then follow directly up with that admit with a text or a phone call that says, I've just admitted you, Joe. We're so excited to have you, and really build a robust relationship that is not surface level, but is more meaningful for the student. So we will be doing that. Relationship building is going to be incredibly important over the next year. We got a very late start with promoting the university. We didn't start promoting the university via billboards and radio as far as applying and recruiting well into February. And so, or January. So we were very behind the 8 ball there. As you drive now, you will see 8 billboards, depending on where you see them, right? Specifically about applying now. And then on top of that, you see the athletics billboards. And on top of that, you see marketing billboards. So we're creating a bigger awareness here in the St. Joe area, the greater region, and across Missouri, so that we can share the Missouri Western to prospective students who really don't know about us on the other side of the state. So we're going to be doing quite a bit, and we're going to do it right from the get-go with the new recruitment cycle. So there will be no downtime, no lag time.
Governor Landis?
You know, we've been through some very difficult times in a variety of different ways here. But the ultimate product and what this university is here to produce is defined by those numbers. And granted, you're just getting here, but there's a benchmark. And I want to see trend. I want to see charts and trends, because that dictates our success. And we're measured by our success by other colleges and universities. And going back to the business side, I'm retired from, that's exactly how we define it. You can talk about the monetary things, but you do it in a lot of different ways. And so the next time we come around, I'm always going to be asking that question. Show me the charts, show me the trends, because that's the product we're producing.
I completely agree with you, Governor. One of the things that Slate will allow us to do in the future is compare year-over-year data.
That'd be perfect.
What we have right now does not allow us a perfect comparison. I had previously offered comparisons to 2015 because that was the last year recruitment cycle where we were not outsourcing a lot of our recruitment. That data, we're running about 12% behind 2015 right now as far as the recruitment. That data just doesn't give us a solid picture. It gives us an okay picture. It allows me to predict how we will probably do, but it doesn't give me good trends like you're asking for. Because this next year, we will have year-over-year comparison data, especially beginning in, I would say, November, although you'll start getting reports at every board meeting, of course, that when Slate and we're turning over a new year, we will be able to show you this is exactly where we were last year, and this is exactly where we are this year at this time, and that trend analysis will be invaluable. I couldn't agree more.
I know Dr. Kennedy has it in part of her report, but are you able to see, are we seeing any improvement on our retention? I know it's been uniquely challenging with students just having a year experience where stuff was virtual, didn't have the full college experience. We are not unique in having to deal with that issue, but if you're able to talk a little bit about that, of if we're seeing some opportunity yet there or where we are at.
Sure. Let me speak to 2 things. Number one, I received I am part of a group of public institution administrators, enrollment management administrators. And so an email came out just today from Missouri State asking if anyone's doing anything around loan forgiveness. I think that I can infer from that email that they're seeing some struggles with continuing students as well, as are many of our institutions across the state. Let me speak to this point about continuing students. We have about 10 weeks left to recruit continuing students back to the university, and that's exactly what we have done, is launch, as of last week, a recruitment campaign. So prior to that, Dr. Davenport, along with the faculty and along with academic advising, everyone has been calling their advisees, doing phone campaign, email campaign to get them re-engaged and enrolling. But what we started last week was a recruitment campaign. So last week, a postcard dropped encouraging students to get registered for classes. We dropped the alternate pins to remove barriers to make it easier for students to register for their classes. This week, a letter will go out from our student governor, President Nathan Scott, encouraging students to get registered for classes. We have something planned for every week until the start of the semester. We will be having in the month of July a walk-in registration specifically for continuing students, and then the big walk-in registration in August, just prior to the start of the semester.
I would hope we would view every student that has already been or was previously enrolled here last year as an opportunity for us, unless they are already enrolled in another university. If it's because of financial issues, I would hope we would work with them as much as we could. If it was the experience wasn't as good, to really stress how things are going to be different and how we can address those, all of that type of stuff, understanding maybe their degree doesn't exist here anymore. I understand those things you have to deal with, but as we make a lot of business references, but keeping our current customers is certainly something we want to make a top priority. It's nice to get new customers, but keeping the current ones should always be priority one for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think looking at what we are doing to engage our students both inside and outside the classroom is vital to them wanting to stay here at Missouri Western. And so we have to take that very seriously.
And I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm coming at it probably a little bit of double barrels here on things, but I appreciate your candor with that. But that's what you'll get a lot from us. We have spent a lot of time cutting expenses over the last year and a half, but we want to also focus on the side, your area of how do we increase our revenue by our product increasing. We have a great university to sell here. We have a great experience to sell here. We just need to get that out there and keep those that are here. So that is a priority. Governor Landis had already mentioned that, and all of us are going to certainly feel that way, and that's going to be a recurring dialogue that we'll have. And I appreciate all your efforts in that area.
Thank you. And I couldn't agree with you more. I do believe that Missouri Western is a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem in our own backyard, and it's a hidden gem for the state. And we're going to do everything that we can possibly do to tell the Missouri Western story and attract students to this area.
Any other questions?
Have we ever done a student survey? Like a statistically significant feedback tool?
We use EdSite's chatbot and do surveys based on how many students respond to that.
Probably not statistically significant data would be my
No,
guess.
but I mean, I think we could try to do a survey. I mean, we look at all kinds of data in terms of like the students who haven't registered, right? Why are they not coming? We do phone calls, we talk to them, we get information about, are they transferring out? And I think, you know, part of what we've seen based on this semester is that a fair number of the students that were leaving our programs are discontinued. And that should be an expectation, because when you discontinue programs, you're not going to immediately backfill into other programs. And we saw that, for example, in our summer enrollment. I mean, overall, we were down in headcount and student credit hours. However, if you simply looked at the courses that we offered last summer and this summer, right, we're down maybe 2%. So it's part of this is a natural process of program review and program elimination. It's impossible not to eliminate the programs, even though they were very low enrolled, and still not see an impact on your overall enrollment. I think, you know, the point that you mentioned, Chair Teeman, is, you know, Dr. Mace came in 4 months into the recruitment cycle. She's launching next year's recruitment cycle next 2 weeks out. And I think given to the relative reconstruction, if you will, that she's done with admissions, the staff that she's bringing on, our refocus on what we're doing for recruiting, engaging with our counselors and high schools, you have to build those relationships. And so dealing with summer melt, which is how students commit either to our classes or to our orientations, making sure we have all of those efforts ongoing. I think we're there. It's going to take us a little bit to get back because we had so much going on here. So the trend lines will go up, but they're not going to be immediate, right?
Well, but I want to go back to something I said. With everything that we talked about and have done, it's been done. The benchmark starts right now. And if we go through the cycle and those trends are going up, we got a problem. Now, I'm focused on that, but we got to be honest with ourselves. That is the essence of what this university does. We produce a product, and I think it's a great university, but I want to see those numbers going up. And to the point, I'm going to speak for every board member here. We're in 100%. The committees that we created and everything else in here, we got your back on everything.
Thank you.
I asked the question, with Slate, do you have interaction with the individual student? Are you
Yes.
able to communicate? What about some kind of, Lisa touched on a survey, but how about a mid-semester survey of the population that's here to see if we're meeting their expectations? I mean, you know, at the end of the semester, if we started seeing a fall away from continued, you know, dropout, whatever you want to call it, you know, maybe that trend could be measured a little bit too. I'm not sure how accurate it might be because the personality of the day, you know, sometimes that is a differing answer, but it would appear to me we've got to know where our product is satisfying our customer. You know, if we're below standard, above standard, you know, where are we at? No, these are just ideas I think that we need to approach. I'm not sure that the academia staff is going to have the answer if they would ask it in the classroom environment. I just don't think they would get maybe the answer that we're looking for. They may get an answer, but it may not be, you know, actual, that kind of thing. So I didn't know what interaction you had with Slate, whether it was one way or both ways.
What we could do it through Slate, but what we would probably do if you're wanting a statistically significant survey is that we would work with Dr. Manganero and institutional research to build a robust survey that could then go out to every student. We could definitely administer that through Slate, but we could also use Qualtrics, which is a much more dynamic tool to use for if we want quantitative data. And then we could also follow that up with qualitative data. We could do small group interviews with students and do a significant survey if that's something that the university feels is really important.
Well, I think that particularly the freshman class is the one
Mhm.
to be concerned about. Just concentrate on the class to be sure that they're going to be second year,
Mhm.
third year graduate from the Northwestern.
I think
Yes.
we need to know from both, right? We're
I-
we're
well,
losing
yeah.
customers both ways,
Yes.
not just one way. So we need to understand why. And I mean, if the closing of programs is why, we should have projected that out, right? We need to look at that and see what did that, we shouldn't be surprised then because it's factual.
Mhm.
But perception is a different thing than factual.
Mhm.
And that's what we have to try to make sure we also understand.
Right. Well, and two things. I mean, we do have programs that are growing, right? We have our nursing
Mhm.
programs, we have business, we have education, psychology, computer,
Psychology.
criminal justice. So part of it is a restructuring of what we're doing in terms of our curriculum, right? Because our product is our graduates, but what we sell our students is our curriculum. Right? That's why they're coming here. So that's also where we're in the process. And Governor Woolman, you're right on track. One of the things I've charged Melissa to do, Dr. Mace, is to develop a robust campus-wide first-year experience program that deals with retention at every level, not just in the classroom, but in the support services, in the residence halls. Because getting that group first year to second year and second year to third year, that's exactly what we need to do. And I think, part of our challenge has been developing a campus that is data-driven and good consumers of the data that we generate. We're just getting those wheels cranking.
One other question I have, I apologize, because how about the population? Where's the population of these early registrations coming from? Are they St. Joseph or are they beyond St. Joseph? And I know that's a loaded question because I'm sure you don't have all those answers.
I actually do. I actually do. I have the raw data. So, but our primary is Buchanan County is our #1 county, followed by Andrews County. Let me see if I've got that in my binder. Oh, actually, I lied. I don't, but we do have our top 5 counties and they are coming from this region. Yeah.
Does that include Kansas?
Yes, it does. I definitely will fold that in the future. So, the top 5, top 10 counties. So I also think it's important to know our top sending schools as well. So we'll make sure that we put that in the report in the future as well.
There's an opportunity for relationship.
Yes.
For Dr. Kennedy and
Yes.
whoever with the various school districts and the various schools within those counties to really work diligently for us to emphasize great project over at St. Joseph.
Yes.
And Governor Wallman, kind of along that point, we have looked at that in the past when the numbers of incoming students was going down. And unless your percentage is 100% of local, there's always improvement that can be done.
Mhm.
But our percentages the last year or two were really not different than historical percentages. Some of that just goes with and why we were looking to new markets, because as we know, the local population in youth is not growing, it's going down. That's
Right.
the St. Joseph School District can attest to, that, I mean, of the number of students that are there. So that's a thing that we had started
Yes.
trying to increase that footprint within the last 2 years because there's only so many, eligible students locally. So how do we expand that to other territories? You never want to give up on your base, and that always has to be #1 because that's always going to be the case. But, we have tried to move into that. We just I got sidetracked with some uncontrollable things in the last year.
Yes. We are rather weak in the greater Springfield, Missouri area. That's an area we're going to concentrate on this next year. We lost ground over the last 2 years in the St. Louis area, and I'd like to expand the St. Louis area, our reach into St. Louis. And we should be able to attract more students from the Kansas City area. Of course, also with our Griffin rate, that should be very attractive to Nebraskans, Iowans, Kansans as well. And so we're going to do more in that area. So a little bit of restructuring, I hope, is going to help in that. And that is going to be our focus, is getting not only a stronger foothold in our own community, but also getting out and making sure that we're creating stronger brand awareness, making connections, building relationships in those second and third tier areas.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Reese. Do not want to steal Dr. Kennedy's any more of her thunder for later, but there was reference to Dr. Manganero. And so for those online or viewing who may not know, he is our interim provost who will be formally introduced later. But I just wanted to connect those dots, at least in pencil, to start with. And we're excited to have him on board, and you'll hear more about that later. Next, we have Dr. Josh Looney, who will decide on his own whether he wants to talk about university advancement or athletics first.
Let's start with the news of the day. How about that? Sound good?
What could that be?
Well, I read Dr. Kennedy's report, and she put in there that she was anticipated that she would have some news before this group met. And so I woke up this morning and put on Arrowhead socks and Chiefs cufflinks and a red tie, and we beat the meeting by 30 minutes. So we just finished up the great announcement right before about the Chiefs returning for training camp here in 2021. As this board knows, a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes have been going on for months. We celebrated the renegotiation and extension of the contract January, February of 2020, and we thought that the hard work was behind us. And then camp is canceled from COVID and all sorts of new protocols. And so typically it's after camp when we're reviewing the successes, we recognize people, but there's so much heavy lifting to work with the NFL and the Chiefs to approve the IDER to have training camp here. And there's a ton of people here that we wouldn't be able to have camp without them. And Dr. Kennedy's at the top of that list. Daryl and Steve Johnston. I mean, you go through our Brian Atkins and Brian Hare of our West Campus staff have put hours working with the Chiefs to give the NFL the data they needed. Mike Halloran of our staff, Jill Voltmer, Chief of Police, and Stephen Kerr from Aramark. I mean, there's so many things that we've had to submit that the general public will not see that are different this year. But they've all put in a lot of efforts just to get to this point. And then obviously we'll have a lot of work ahead of us here in about a month. And we certainly can't forget the work of the people in our city, our county commissioners, city officials, elected officials have all been great. And again, Steve's done such a tremendous job in keeping that process going. So field enhancements are there. We'll welcome thousands of fans a day beginning on July 28th through August 18th. We'll see double the seating capacity they've seen in normal years. Scanlon Hall, it might be a little warm, but encourage you to walk through if you have any free time. That is quickly being renovated. So all of those things that were part of that original agreement are coming to fruition and more. And so happy to answer questions about Chiefs Camp at the end of this report. But the short of it is we have them back. We'll be welcoming fans. It will look a little bit different, but I think the fan experience will actually be enhanced with all the things that have happened. So great work by many and very exciting for us today. On the athletic side of things, I always want to lead with the academic report, and our student athletes did it again. And I wasn't quite sure. I knew it would be close. I wasn't quite sure that it would be a record-setting year or not, given online learning and the transitions in a COVID environment. And they extended the record of 4 straight academic years of breaking and re-breaking the cumulative GPA of the department. 7 straight semesters dating back to spring 2018. It's incredible focus from our student athletes, but also our coaches prioritizing academic success Teresa Grossbach, our Associate Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator, keeping our athletes on track and obviously providing resources as needed for those that are at risk. How close was it? The prior record was 3.220 at the end of last year. It's now 3.222. So we went through, we went to the thousands, but hey, it's a record. So we'll keep it. But to put that in perspective, 4 years ago, that was 3.05 and that was a record. So the record went from 3.05 to 3.222. And I think our athletic department still has more in it to keep advancing. So great accomplishments there. Proud to report the final COVID testing statistics. I'm hopeful this is the last time I'll ever have to report our actual COVID testing numbers to this group. As you know, we've been providing these reports really since August of last year with our student athletes when they first started returning to campus in small workout groups in June. We ended with over 3,200 COVID tests that were done in-house. That was with the support of Mosaic Life Care, who had staff members over here, particularly in the spring. We had large groups and basically daily testing, depending on the sport of our athletes. We ended with a 1.2% positivity rate. Our trends were just like that, those in the community and this campus. We experienced our higher numbers in December. And then again, we had some issues with our basketball programs in January. But as the community rates started lowering, so did the rates in athletics. And we concluded our spring with no positive tests from February 19th through the end of the semester, which was wonderful. And our spring sports really enjoyed a somewhat uninterrupted semester, at least from the COVID protocols. So great work from our athletic trainers, our team doctors, and obviously an extension of the COVID task force that Dean Harris and Dr. Kinney and others have put forward this year. So happy for that. For next year, we are not anticipating required testing of our athletes. Obviously that always changes. We're prepared to do so if we have to. And really the attention turns to vaccinations and the benefits of that. And for athletes, especially vaccinated athletes, will not have to go through quarantines and the other measures that unvaccinated athletes will per the NCAA set rules for next year. Peach Belt Conference, Esports. I'm fired up about this one. So we have a conference home for Overwatch and next fall. And I'll go back to the 2020 NCAA convention. Commissioner Dave Brunk is the commissioner of the Peach Belt Conference. He's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He was on the original NCAA task force with Mark Emmert to evaluate should esports be an NCAA sanctioned championship. Didn't happen, could still happen in the future. But what spun out of that, the Peach Belt Conference was the first conference in Division II to have what I would call the most traditional esports league. You go to their website, it has rankings for that. They have a regular season and it's virtual on the regular season, but Missouri Western will be playing Augusta in Overwatch, and you'll have a winner and a loser, and it will report. And then they host an in-person championship for those that qualify, similar to if a baseball team qualifies for your tournament. So with what we've done this year, we proposed and gave our report of what we've done to grow esports here, and unanimous approval from their presidents. We received an invitation. President Kennedy accepted it early this week. And I just think it's a great differentiating factor for us. The Peach Belt Conference, you say, oh my gosh, Missouri Western's in the Peach Belt Conference, but the conference spans from Hawaii all the way to Georgia, where it's based, with Division I, II, and III institutions in it. So it's a great step forward in year two for our esports program. I don't know if you're an Overwatch player, Nate, but if not, you might want to school up on that. And then the other games will have other various affiliations through NACE and others, but Peach Belt Conference is a pretty cool deal. So any Overwatch players, you've got a pretty good fall ahead of you. I won't go through all of our year-end reports on our teams. You can see they're all noted for you. I just note we finished with a very strong spring, probably highlighted by our golf programs, both going to the NCAAs. Our tennis team having its best MIAA season in recorded record that we could find, and that was in Olaya's first full year as head coach. Another first-year head coach that did a great job. Damon Macias started late. If you recall, we went through 2 coaching changes in our soccer program between July and August. Their season was delayed, and that program went all the way to the MIAA Spring Championship game before falling to Central Oklahoma. So a lot of positive momentum there. And then two athletes that finished with All-American status and love Dr. Mace's billboard campaign she has going. The newest one you will see will be on belt on an athletics board, and it'll feature Sydney Hawkins, who was the only unanimous first-team All-American in the country in softball. She's our second baseman, hit about, I don't know, she was at 590 at some point late in the year. I think she cooled off to 520 or 490, something like that. And then Hannah Williams, who's a local athlete and has really risen to the face of our women's track and field program. She became our first ever All-American in our track and field program that's in its fourth year. So our All-Americans will be displayed proudly on Belt Highway. We've had a number of personnel changes, particularly in assistant coaches ranks. You can see there. I'll note that we're now known as BBN West for our men's basketball program. If you don't know what BBN is, that is the hashtag for Big Blue Nation. It's the University of Kentucky. They're a rabid fan base. They wrote a great article on us because now the three coaches are all from they're from 2009 through 2012. But Will, our head coach, was a student manager on their national championship team. And he's hired two of their former players, John Hood, who was part of probably one of the best recruiting classes in college basketball history. I think he was the only player to not go to the NBA in that 5-person class, but he was only, the Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year as he came through. He's been hired as an assistant, and Perry Stevenson, who is in their top 5 in career black shots, is also an assistant. So now we're just trying to line up a game at Rupp Arena, and I'm not kidding. We're really trying to do that. So we'll see if that happens this year or next year, but definitely the Kentucky ties are very strong. You can look at some of our student athletes that are noted that claimed academic awards. They're highlighted individually of those that achieved the 4.0 honors for athletics. On the fundraising side, to end with athletics, we had a record-breaking charity golf and auction event. We've really set 2 records within a calendar year, and Brett Easley's worked tireless on that, our senior associate athletic director for external relations. $104,000 was the gross revenue record in August of 2020 when we delayed that. This year, we were hopeful to get to 6 figures was the goal. If we set a record, that would be wonderful. We ended at $125,682 this year, which means it will be the largest check we'll be writing to the YWCA. And certainly gives us a new bar to try and clear in 2022. But record golf event, most teams we've ever had, and some tremendous auction items that many here donated. Thank you, or bid on. Thank you. So it was a good event. Gold Coat renewals are actually a little bit slower. That was a record, believe it or not, last year in revenue for Gold Coats, and we announced it about this time. We're only about halfway to where we want to be right now. However, we haven't, all our metrics are showing interest in our program. Our watch rates from basketball season were among the highest we've had, and our giving is still there. So I'm chalking it up right now to some of the delay. We're not getting no's in Gold Coat. I just think that last year no one was doing anything and they answered their Gold Coat things faster. And this year they're doing things. And so we're still optimistic there, but obviously that's something we'll be tracking into August before football season. I'll roll right into advancement as well. It's a shorter report and then pause for questions. But the board of directors held their quarterly meeting, and I'm sure Daryl will talk about this, but probably some of the big action items that came from the foundation was a commitment to continue to fund advancement and foundation and alumni salaries and operations for the next 3 years. Now, alumni was 1 additional year, and then it will roll back to the university side. But that's a big change that happened the last 2 fiscal years as we have navigated our financial challenges and the board of directors and the foundation and where they've brought that group committed to continuing to fund essentially all of their expenses and operations for 3 years. Also fulfilled the $1.78 million funding request. Proud to say that that request was all of a variety of unrestricted giving to the university. So donor scholarships that were endowed by donors or endowed program funds were not utilized or taken down to help fund that. And that was obviously a piece to help balance the budget that Daryl's reported on previously. So very proud of the work that the foundation staff did in aligning those funding actions for the foundation board to take. Future leadership of the foundation, I'll defer to President Kenny and her report to talk about that, but this will be my last meeting after serving this academic year as administration and the cabinet has condensed a bit and many of us taken on additional roles. It's been an honor to work with that staff. I've had a lot of fun doing it, Kim and everybody. I hope you've had fun as well. Probably a little different mindset coming from the athletic side, but it's been an honor. And meeting people that love this institution that are not athletically inclined has probably been the most rewarding, because I meet all the athletics people in my role, but I don't always meet all of the others. So it's been wonderful. And thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for the staff for being there. And I know that the transition will go well, especially as events pick up. Lamonte Hunter was elected as Alumni Board President, and I think he is just going to be unbelievable. He is currently the Dean of Students at Lyons College in Batesville, Arkansas. And he's our first African-American alumni to head our association and be our president. And so a lot of great ideas. Kim Weddle's worked very closely with him and excited for what that group will accomplish here in the next academic year. On the fundraising side, we have launched a campaign for new band uniforms. And in your packet, you see a goal and how much has been raised, but that's kind of been obliterated in the last few days. So Kim, do you want to come up here and give an update or stand up about where are we on fundraising for that piece?
So I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your coaching, your energy for us. What's great is he's used to breaking records, right? So he has really excited us. And so we are right now for our band uniforms, I think in there it says 25 or something, or as of yesterday at over 51,000 towards our 80,000 goal. We hope to raise that by the end of this summer, so that be able to unveil those at the football game. So I'm excited about that. Excited also about our goal for unrestricted dollars. And again, thank you, Josh, for your cheerleading and your positivity and energy. Appreciated that, especially this last year. We all needed that, right? So thank you.
Appreciate it, Kim, and for finding some words of thanks. Those are good if you had to dig deep for those or not. No, there's an online site that was launched about 3 or 4 weeks ago for the band uniform campaign, and that's online, and we encourage people to take a look there. Pretty neat deal. And Kim, you teed up my final bullet point that I was going to update, and we've obviously talked about the Western League of Excellence and that being a point that the foundation has really focused on. That's the unrestricted giving society of the foundation. And we knew that had eclipsed its highest mark in membership and new members. We're waiting for the fiscal year to come through, and we'll see where we end up overall in unrestricted. What I think we're confident in saying today is that this should be a record year for unrestricted giving to the university that wasn't part of a capital campaign, which were in 2008 and 15. And so we still have a few more weeks left or another 10 days or so of the fiscal year, 7 days, I guess. It's a 30-day month, and we'll go for there. So we'll finish strong. With that, those conclude my 2 reports, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. With the Supreme Court decision, as far as the NCAA is concerned, I've heard all different views about what that is going to do with athletes and everything else in here. How do you view that? And, obviously Division I is what they are. What will that do to us as Division II in recruiting athletes? And will it change the way you recruit?
It absolutely will. I think anybody who thinks Supreme Court, whether it's a Supreme Court decision this week or name, image, likeness, that we should have some consistent grounds from the NCAA on July 1st, which is also a whole nother jumbled mess right now with different states passing, and hopefully there's federal legislation that brings that together if Congress will act on that piece. But both of those will have an effect on Division II institutions. And if a school in Division II believes that that's a Division I thing, they'll be passed by, and it won't be the same level, but recruiting wars will be won and lost. And so what that looks like, we need to see the parameters, but offering resources. I immediately go to our School of Business, Craig School of Business and Center for Entrepreneurship and Name, Image, Likeness. We already have a strong area of that. And while we may not be able to have sponsor Y and student athlete X partner, we'll be expected to provide resources to them for them to grow their personal brands, their name, image, likeness, and what a setup we have academically here. So I think that can be a win-win for recruiting and growing our programs that we have here. The other piece are academic and educational resources and expenses. And I think that's where you'll see a massive gap happen at the Division I level, from the $125 million Ohio States of the world to the $15 million Central Arkansas of the world with their athletic budgets, and to Missouri Western and what our athletic budget is. But you look at fundraising, and do priorities change? Do we need to fundraise to help with some of the academic and educational benefits that are now permissible that haven't been in the past? And so broadly, yes. What it looks like, I don't know, and we'll certainly be diving into that throughout the summer. And I know it will be a big piece of conversation for President CEO meetings as well as AD meetings at MIAA throughout the next year. So will remain to be seen, but it will be an impact.
Well, let's go back to, let's say the state of Missouri. Given this, does that bring them in any way about what they themselves may want to do versus the federal level and all of that? Because it appears like it's
a shotgun approach right now with 20 some states, I think, have now passed. And if you read MU versus KU, Kansas I believe has passed, Missouri hasn't. What's permissible in one state, not in the other. And that's where I think the NCAA will look to for July 1, which is where some of these first state movers, their legislation will take action, take effect. There will be some guidelines there, but really a need for federal legislation. So all 50 states are playing under the same rules. But right now, you're right. It's different, and we're looking for some guidance on what we can and can't do from an NCAA versus when, and Steve would know more on where state of Missouri is in this and based off what's in the bill in Missouri. But all 50 states are working on something, whether they've passed it yet or not.
I have a question. I don't know what Griffin Sports Properties is. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's our corporate fundraising arm of Griffin Athletics. So that's a partnership with Peak Sports, very similar to a Learfield model. And so they are working on our corporate partners, fulfillment, renewals, and growing that campaign and those external resources.
And then my last question is, what % of the athletes for the fall have been vaccinated?
Don't have a number for you. We should know more when they come and check in as they return to campus this fall. I would tell you it's probably a lower amount than you would like to see going through, but at the same time,
and what's going to be
our athletes and students in general left campus close to the time that it was just rolling out available to all ages. So we'll see. We need to catch up on summer vaccinations.
Are we going to do anything proactive? Because I would hate to go to the first game and have to come back on the bus.
I would defer to President Kennedy and Crystal Harris on the plans. We've had numerous cabinet discussions of what we'll do to encourage that. And I do believe the resources and encouragement will be there. But as far as who is and isn't vaccinated, we will have to collect that information, have it on file with NCAA and the conference office. But I just don't know.
I know it's a personal decision,
right,
and we can't push a personal decision, but we can protect the university. And it's our reputation if, just like that golfer that just was 6 strokes ahead and got disqualified.
Oh, that's a perfect example. Yep.
It's a very bad publicity thing for Missouri Western that happens, in my opinion. So
I have some of that in my report. I'll talk about
We just
where we're
need to
going.
think about it.
And I would imagine the testing protocols will still be in place for unvaccinated athletes.
Right now, they've lifted those testing protocols. It's not required right now. So
Okay.
as an institution, certainly, we can explore those and the resources, but
And it was just either the day before our last board meeting that it opened up for all ages to sign up to get them. So month and a half.
I do know we have one full team vaccinated or one
Well,
that's
the
in this
rates are
program.
going up. We can't just bank on the low rates. in my opinion.
I think what you mentioned with the PGA with John Rahm and what happened there, that is the incentive. So that doesn't happen to an athlete. The NFL is announced far more stringent rules for vaccinated versus unvaccinated athletes, and that will be the incentive piece for those that haven't yet.
A win in the US Open was the incentive piece of that for him.
They just won,
That
right?
was-
So,
Right,
which
that
is a
worked
great
out.
story.
No,
That's
I
right.
know, that worked out for him, but there's lessons all over the place to be learned from that. Any other questions for Dr. Looney? I would just piggyback a little bit of some of your other comments that I appreciate. A little over a year ago, when you and I were having numerous discussions about additional hats that you would wear for this next year, and to your credit, jumped in and did the A+ job that you do with athletics. Athletics didn't miss a beat. You have a great team assembled over there. On that side, some people really spread their wings in that, and we haven't missed a beat there. You have done a tremendous job with Advancement Foundation, all of the alumni, all the stuff that goes with that, and we're in a stronger position to move that forward. But just your willingness to step up and spread your talents around is just tremendous. We have other people. I mean, you're just indicative of the great resources we have here. But I, from a personal standpoint, appreciate those conversations. You were always ready to do whatever you could do, and have done fantastic with them. So thank you for that, and let you get back to your day job.
Another week.
Thank you. Yes. All right, thank you. Next, we have CFO Daryl Morrison, Vice President for Finance and Administration. You get the financial report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin just with a brief report. Some of these items are in your book. First of all, I'd like to start with Dr. Looney stole my thunder. I shouldn't have sent him a text regarding the 1.7 million from the Missouri Western State University Foundation. Shared a text. I did not miss an opportunity for a photo op with the foundation CFO, which is Michelle Chambers, when she handed me the check. So we're very grateful for the support of them. Dr. Looney mentioned that we have a commitment from the foundation for a couple of more years for them to fund some things. And certainly there's several things involved in that, one of which is that it's pretty standard practice for the foundation to fund its own salaries. And so that's really where we're going with that. But they did lend us a hand with the alumni area for the upcoming year. So we're very appreciative of that. Concerning things going on around on campus, we are extremely busy and stretched thin in so many areas. We are continue to upgrade our banner modules. Dr. Mace spoke a lot about the Slate implementation, which is also associated with banner. But we're updating the finance module, accounts receivable, our HR payroll module. And really what we're trying to do is get them to a place where they're operating as they should and be able to have some controls in place that were not there previously, particularly on the finance side regarding budgets and things like that. So we're working on that in the future. We'll work on financial aid and upgrades for our student module in conjunction with Dr. Mace and those involved with that. Also, I would like to thank the board for the approval of the budget at the last meeting for the upcoming fiscal year. So we're not here a couple of weeks out wondering if we're going to have a budget or not. We've got that in place. It's all good. A lot of benefits from that, very much appreciated by the faculty because the HR team working with the provost office, we were able to issue faculty contracts to them prior to the end of the semester, prior to the end of their current term of their contracts, and those have been returned. And so that's all in place and we're ready for the next academic year. And that was part of the master plan with Dr. Davenport, myself, and Dr. Kennedy. Additionally, staff contracts have been issued and we've done something new just as an FYI for you. We are sending appointment letters to our employees, letting them know that you've got a job, you're here, we want you here, those sorts of things. So it serves a couple of purposes for us, that to notification, to know that they're appreciated. We also have begun in HR, out of HR, a job analysis questionnaire working. The bigger issue is a compensation study for the campus community. We have long since been lagging behind for various reasons in compensation, I believe, on this campus. So what we're doing is there's been a lot of job changes over a period of time. And so what we're doing is we are looking and analyzing every job on campus, staff job on campus, and we'll be incorporating that. We've hired a group, CBiz, that also does our benefits coordination for us. They are a national group and they are looking at this, and they will do a compensation study, not a salary study, a compensation study that includes both wages and benefits to see where we fall in the marketplace and in particularly in the St. Joe region and how we're competitive. You say, Morrison, I've seen you 100 times and you always talk about how broke we are. We will not always be broke. Okay. And because we will not always be broke, my goal and Dr. Kennedy's goal is to have in place a plan so that when those funds become available, we can reward and give to our staff the things that they have earned. And that is staff, faculty across the board. Okay, we'll be looking at those things, but we need a plan. We also will be out of the HR area, we'll also be working on something new for our campus, and that is an onboarding process and an offboarding process. As employees come and go, we'll have orientation. We anticipate the onboarding to occur on 2 days a month. And that's when everyone will start across campus, and we'll have that. And it will be a little bit of an indoctrination with some familiarities to the campus community and things like that. So I'm excited to get that going. We are also working on a new campus card system on this campus. This board has approved many contracts as we've updated our lock system across campus, going to electronic, touchless to enter and exit our buildings, particularly our resident halls. We're piggybacking upon that. Corey, who's over in the corner, is kind of leading that effort on our behalf from the IT side, where we're moving to a one card, and that is, it will not only open your door, it will be your new ID, right? It will also have your meal plan on it and other things. And so we're excited to get that going and move forward. We hope to have parts of it, maybe not all of it, but we expect to have many parts of it implemented by the fall semester. So we're excited about that. So I'm going to ask Hannah, Governor Berry, and our SGA president, wherever he went, he's out, right? Probably went for a snack, guys. I know him, right? So Nathan, to help us get the word out, because we will have to reissue IDs and things in order to get this working. So we're excited about that. Moving along, we're also working, Jill Volkmar, our police chief, and our IT staff are also working on new parking software, things like that, bringing us into the 21st century on that. We also have a lot of things going on. Dr. Looney mentioned earlier some of the things going on in Scanlon Hall and the upgrades there. It's progressing quite nicely. We're about 2 weeks away from having that completed, we believe. Judah and Bashir's, we are, I don't know if I can say gutting them, but that's basically what it is, right? We're repainting, we're tearing out all the carpets, we're putting in new air conditioning, we're really dressing those up and getting them back in a good form. And then the third thing I would say from a maintenance standpoint regarding student housing is the loss of Logan Hall that will soon be coming. We're going to tear it down, okay, and get it out of the way. Okay, so we're moving forward. So that opened up some nice green space and some opportunities in the future, possibly for the campus. So we shall see. Additionally to that, financial aid, of course, we're working hard in that area. Cindy Spots, Conrad and her group are working hard as we prepare for the academic year and awarding student aid. We have some upgrades coming to our computer classrooms with some new machines. We have a lot of annotated computer equipment. Spread the news. We're getting new stuff. Okay. We're excited about that. I think our faculty will be excited to teach on better equipment, and I know our students will be excited to learn on better equipment. So there we are. We're also got a Wi-Fi upgrade going on campus. So as you can tell, there's numerous things going on across the campus. Any questions on anything that I've reported on thus far? Let me begin the financial update while I'm here and before you. You have in your packet individual fund types. I have, for presentation purposes this afternoon, just gone to the all funds page, which would be page 50 in there. You also at your table should have a revised page 50 where I made one slight error on line. It's on the other line in the non-operating, okay, where there was an expense inadvertently reported. But as you can see, tuition and fee revenues, we're really complete for this year. Federal grants and contracts, we've still got a little bit hanging out there. We're expecting for that. Most of the auxiliary enterprises are pretty much done. You can see we did not make budget in some of these areas, but we were somewhat prepared for that. As you look at the operating expenses, we're in pretty good shape. Travel numbers are way down. We expect them to be way down because of the pandemic this year. We haven't spent it. Supplies and services is down, and I'm hopeful that it stays down. Okay. I do know there are some last minute expenditures that we'll have to make from a university perspective, but I do anticipate us to be over budgeted across the campus in supplies and services. And that's a good thing, which will roll forward our cash balances and help our reserves and get us in a better net position as we move forward. As we look at the next slide here, state appropriations, our capital appropriations, our grants, things like that. You'll notice on the grants line, there's been a major increase. That's reflective of the CARES Act monies and things like that we have received. Some of the other numbers as you go through there, the capital numbers have increased greatly, and that is just a reflection of us spending the CARES Act money. Bottom line, we're still anticipating a revised budget is somewhere on par. Our actual number as of the end of May is $8 million in the black. So we're making progress. We've made great progress. Okay. So any questions on the financial piece of this before I move to the
Does
cash
that
thing?
already have the foundation?
I have it in there. It is not in that 8 million. It is not, we have not received it. That would have been post what we received today. It is in the budget number though,
Mhm.
Governor Norton. That would be on the gift line there. Okay. Other question, Governor Eversole?
You showed us there where the supplies and services expenses was down and you expect them to remain down. Can you go into that a little bit, explain? how
Yeah, I
or
can.
why?
We built budgets and we put out a call because of the way things have been on our campus, for people just really not to spend if they didn't have to spend. We've got a lot of things out there. And so people have adhered to that for the most part, realizing that the university has been hard times for us, right? If we don't need it, we're not going to spend it. And so that's really what the result is. I have to compliment the deans and the provost, particularly the athletic folks, they're really campus wide for watching what we're spending better than we ever have.
That's good news.
It is good news. It's good news in the campus community. It's not me. The campus community is the one to be congratulated on that. So
Thank you.
you bet. If I could give you good news, here it is. I'm not as flashy as Dr. Looney, although I love him like a brother. I'm not as flashy as he is on speaking. But the fact that we are $5.7 million off, better off today than when I took this job, I'll take it. That's cash in the bank.
How much of that cash is theoretically, it could be none, I'm not saying it is, but is committed, for lack of a better word, from the COVID funding that we have received? I know it says.
None of that is committed from COVID funding, because it's probably right the opposite, because the way the CARES Act funds and the rescue plan work is it's a reimbursement basis. We spend it, then pull it back. Yeah. So this is good. Are some of these funds committed from a designated, that sort of thing standpoint? Absolutely. They are,
Do
right?
you have any idea, just ballpark, what that would be?
About 3 million, probably, just off the top of my head. Please don't hold me to
I
that,
won't
Governor
mind.
Norton, but yeah, that would be in that range. Okay. And this is what we're talking about, and you've heard me mention this several times. This is what we're talking about from a university perspective, is getting that cash position back up, building our net position so that we can do that, so that we've got those funds there, and then we can move it ahead. Okay. And that's where we're going with this. Okay. I will tell you, I remember standing here about this time last year, giving a report where the projection was in July that we would be under $6 million to operate, and knowing what our payroll numbers are. This campus is to be congratulated, honest. And it's not me, it is campus wide. We have dug our heels in together and worked on this. Okay. And we are making a difference. Okay. Let's see if I missed something. I'm good. Okay. That concludes my finance report. Governor Team. Yes.
You alluded to some additional funding from the foundation.
Yes.
You just kind of touch on that a little bit.
For next year, this year.
For continuing. Expectations of the foundation.
The foundation expectation would be for them to continue to be a partnership with the university. Okay. But my proposal is, and will continue to be, as the CFO of the university, that the foundation pay their own salaries and benefits. They will be university employees where they can share in university benefits and all of those things, but the foundation pay for those. That's the model that I'm accustomed to. and am used to. That is not the case with the alumni, though. The alumni is an operation of the university, has been. And so what we've asked them to do is fund the alumni office. It's about $100,000 annually for one more year, and then we'll move it back to the university. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and it allows me to go back to people that were asking me how much more was the foundation going to do to prop up the university.
None.
And I assured them that it was not going to.
We don't, I would say, as far as for your term, sir, propped up, I would say that to prop us up going forward, the end number will be 0. Okay. But I will tell you, I fully expect the foundation to continue to contribute and help move the university forward with new initiatives, new ideas, new projects, all of those things, right?
Propping it up was not a good.
No. You're right.
No.
It really, they helped us get through a tough time. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah, absolutely.
Rest assured, when I'm sitting around with some people that currently have paused their contributions, I can be confident in making the statements that I believe I could make.
I would tell you that the university and the funds that have been received by the university were needed for us to get through. But I think you can see how responsible we've been with some of our budgeting that we just talked about. Governor Episode talked about supplies and what we're doing. I promise you, we're not blowing the money on the university. No. And I understand that, but I think there's a concept. You're not managing your own funds. Why? And you're reaching out for more. And that kind of happened. We managed it within what we had, but we inherited a lot more bills, if you will, than we could pay for. And so now we have reset that and are moving forward. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
if I may, lest we forget, the governor had 2 withholds for us for the 1 year that we weren't anticipating, and we
Yes.
had those brought back.
Yeah.
They
And
were
there are
brought back
things
for deferred
outside.
maintenance and not operating, which
Right.
we were grateful for, don't get us wrong. But
Yep.
it was even more challenging than had been predicted, so.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Morrison? Not, would welcome a motion to approve the May 31st, 2021 financial report as has been presented.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor of approving the financial report, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The May 31, 2021 financial report has been approved as presented.
Thank you, Governor Timmy. I have 2 contractual requests that we'll need approval on. First of all, the Blum Union Kitchen Air Handler, we're bringing this to the board. This is to fix some of the air quality in this building and update the air handler. We can't get the pressure right, and you can see this is all listed in your board. The total amount of this project is $197,000, 239. We'll be using some of our CARES Act funds for this as we continue to upgrade and fix ventilation and things like that across campus. We are going with Daikin here. We are centralizing and standardizing a lot of our equipment on here so the controllers work to the most efficient way possible, so on and so forth on that. Okay, questions?
Is that the key? Oh,
Go
go ahead.
The $197,000 is from where?
The federal funds, those federal funds, the CARES Act monies.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say the kitchen, is that where the food court
Food
is?
court is, yes, it's that area. It's that area. We've already corrected some in the other piece with some of our other contracts that have come before this board. This is one we did not have funding for, but we are now coming back as we've allocated those resources. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve, Governor Stephen.
I would request a motion to approve the contract with Daikin Applied Americas, the Inc. or LLC, got different, however they are incorporated, for Bloom Union Kitchen Air Handlers as has been presented by Mr. Morrison. A motion. I have you have a question or a motion?
Well, I'd like, just a quick question. Were they the only proposal we got?
They were the only proposal we got on this.
Okay,
They were.
okay. So now I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this contract for the Bloom Union kitchen air handlers? Not all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion passes for your contract, Mr. Morrison. Your next item.
The next item is at our last meeting, we did a parking lot repairs proposal for the university. What we have done is we accepted, and this board accepted, the low base bid of Keller Construction on that. And you recall at that time, I requested approval to use the square foot pricing part of that, which was also part of the bid. And this information is in your board book. And what we're doing now is because of the release of the governor's funding for some deferred maintenance, we're wanting to expand that and continue to use this bid. But I did want to bring it to this board for your approval and to let you know because of the dollar amount that's associated with us doing this, okay? Now, I will tell you the total amount that we're anticipating is spending another $838,000. It's at that 275 square foot price, okay? We could bid this, but I will tell you in my estimation, I think we would not get it that cheap. And I also think we would cost ourselves money from a university standpoint if we rebid, because everybody knows what the last bid was a couple of months ago, right? So we're just extending a bid that's already out and including more work. Questions on that?
Here.
Surprising it came from us too, huh?
Yeah, well,
Y'all know anybody in the asphalt business?
I've got a question. Should we approve this? What's the time frame? Is it continuous with where they're at now? Or is
Yeah,
it gonna be a delay?
it will be. I will tell you that based upon the special session that's currently going on, they're about to finish the last piece of what we had contracted with them previously. Should have it wrapped up. I have them on hold once they finish the rest of a couple of little parking lots that they're working on, because as you all know, the governor's called a special session, and if that bill doesn't pass, then there's going to be a major withhold for higher education and K through 12 and
So that
various
means
other
if the
state services.
Bill doesn't pass, we won't move ahead with this?
No, if that bill does not pass, we will put the brakes on this.
All right, assuming it moves ahead, what kind of a timeframe?
We will
be done
start
by
July.
school year?
We will, yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to have this completed by the start of the school year, really August 1 is the date I've given them. We think we can do that. They've been working around the clock. We are trying to get everything where the chiefs will be, that area completed first, and then we'll expand out. There's even some, a lot that the university owns the incubator. We're going to be doing that lot, some of those things, but that will be toward the end, and that's out of the main flow of traffic. So that's one of the latter things we'll be doing.
What's the plan for the main drive out front?
It's in this. Yeah, it's in there. Sure is.
Landis?
Well, having been in this business for quite a while, I'm going to tell you right now, do not put that out for bid. Because this is called a change order and you have a right contractually to do that.
Yeah, we do.
And
Yeah.
so if we're at a motion time,
Almost. We're getting close to it.
well,
Well, are there any other?
that's your recommendation.
Yes, it is.
So
And if it wasn't, you should fire me, sir.
I was just gonna ask, in the last meeting, you outlined where the initial approved funds were going to be used at. Can you talk about where this is gonna be used on campus?
What wasn't in that one?
Or so
Campus wide.
Would it be, it'll be everything?
Campus
then
wide.
entirely?
Yes, ma'am. That's our plan.
I like that.
We're even in consideration of a little bit of something that's not currently asphalted that I would like to see asphalted prior to, I don't know, mid-July or so. So we're looking at that. So
So you say we're ready to start on this, but if there's a hole put on it, will those what we've done be covered?
what we've done is covered, yes. Yes, what we've done is covered. Okay, well, the hold is the continuation, this piece of it. I'll pull it back. I won't have any choice. You understand?
let's go back to when are we going to know what's going to happen from the governor and the state?
I would think within the next few days, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
my understanding, my conversations
listen,
would
Steve,
be
you
Monday or
vote.
Tuesday of next week. Because the Senate is going to be in play Friday
Okay.
or today, yeah, or Thursday, I'm sorry. And then the House is coming back after that. I mean, that's my, yeah,
Okay.
that's my conversation with
So
Senator
anyway,
Hageman.
that's not that far.
Yeah, we'll know. And I think they've got enough to get them through this fiscal year, which is June 30th. And we'll know prior to the end of the fiscal year about state funding.
Right. And I mean, just to be clear, this is a part of a 2.5 million that we were put in
Yes.
additional deferred maintenance funding that we would put in as for the
Yes,
budget.
this is, I'll just be honest about it. This was some of the work of our local legislators.
Yes.
Senator Luke DeMeyer, Senator Hageman,
Mhm.
Representative Shields, others.
Excuse me, the only question I have is student union, the parking lot adjacent to it, is it scheduled? in the
Yes.
Original contract, or is it in that?
I'll have to double check. I think one side was and one side was not. We need it fixed badly.
Just, you know, that perception thing comes into
Yes.
play here.
Yes, absolutely.
What our campus looks like,
Yes.
and I'm not advocating that we run out and spend that money
It,
without the support of the legislature.
It-
But I do wonder if we would be remiss not considering at least getting that parking lot
it,
if we have.
if our bottom line continues to improve and we have some deferred maintenance money of our own, which we should have on the campus, right? That's set aside from that, from our facility fees and things like that, right? Dr. Kennedy and I have already had a discussion about if this were to fail, are there some really hot spots on campus that we need to address? And so to your point, that is one of them.
Piggybacking on Al Landis's comment
Uh-huh.
regarding not rebidding it and knowing we've got a good deal.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
be able to exercise some effort.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And a credit to Daryl's, we had this discussion. we're all in agreement that we have already voted to approve this. You know,
You're just
that-
talking to country.
this is being
That's what you're
done,
talking about.
this is being done in excessive transparency
That's
here.
it.
And so our CFO has brought it to us to say, even though I believe this could all be done, you approved it, I just want you to be able to weigh in again. And that's where we have the opportunity to do so. And we probably don't even need to be
No, we
voting
don't.
on
No,
this
probably
for
not.
him to do it. We gave him the authority last time.
Right.
And I-
That's a credit to the way Daryl is approaching our finances.
Well, we've got a contract. All we're doing is following the contract.
Correct.
And I will tell you, that is a good deal.
Okay.
I have a little experience. in
You
that regard.
absolutely do.
So-
That's,
And by the way,
expert witness testimony there.
this is a good company too.
Yeah.
and the camp, what they've done, it looks good. The camp, I mean,
Yes.
not just the parking lots, you're sealing the trails out there. Campus looks great on there. Could use a little rain, but it looks great otherwise.
That's
I
So-
think that's tomorrow.
Okay, that's tomorrow. That's good to know.
all right.
All right, do I have a motion to approve FB 21-047, the various parking lot repairs addendum as has been presented by Mr. Morrison?
So moved.
Have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Very appropriate. Is there any other discussion?
They may take our gold watch back.
Oh, goodness.
Hearing no other discussion. All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion is approved.
Okay. The next item that I wanted to share with you was I wanted to give you an update on the external funding that we've received. And I have several slides, but considering how slow I talk and how long it takes us to get through these, I'm trying to move quickly. So what I will do is I will go through these quickly, but I've given you all a copy of the PowerPoint so you can have it and ask questions as we go through this. Just from an overview of things, I just want to highlight this. We received the first round of CARES money last March, right? It was $3.9 million. Half of it went to students. We used the remaining on building ventilations, technology, some revenue recovery that we could identify, some contractual obligations to pay out, and PPE type things. The CARES Act 2 money, we got $6.9 million of those funds. We have to date received $4.1 million. And so we've expended those. As I mentioned earlier, it's a reimbursement. Okay. 1.8 again went to our students with building ventilations and fixing some of those things. 2.7 technology, $818,000. Revenue recovery, PPE, contractual things. We still have about $668,000 that is unobligated. We're still looking for ways to what would give us the best bang for the buck, if you will, on our campus. So we're very appreciative of that. The American Rescue Plan Act, we have received nothing from it yet. Okay. There's 5.8 that is to go to students. There's 5.7 that is to come to the university for various things. We have not made any obligations. Okay. I've had numerous discussions with cabinet, Dr. Kennedy, our faculty and staff senate leaders. And basically what we're wanting to do is we're going to work on the 5.8 for our students. Okay. We think this would be a benefit, help some of them maybe continue their education and have some prior balances, things like that. So we're looking at ways we can do that. The 5.7, since we have a long period of time to expend these funds, what we're going to be doing is we're basically going to be my office will be taking proposals. I've got a form built. We'll send it out when the campus community is back in late August. We'll send that out for ideas. So why would you do that? Because I'm out about now. Because it's always good to see what ideas are out there on the campus community. And someone may have some great ideas, right? On how we could spend some of these funds. So we'll be looking at that this fall. but working on the other piece. State, the governor's office has been great. We got the gear funding. We've got some response and reopen funds. You see those dollar amounts. We've talked about those. Here's how we spent them. A lot of it on the building and ventilation side, upgrading things. Okay. The county has been great for the university and for athletics in particular as well. We using some of those funds, plan to use for Scanlon Hall, things like that. And Josh and them, that's how they got through the basketballs and the sports season, right? Is being able to test their athletes. Would not have been possible without the support of our county commissioners. So we're very thankful for them. Deferred maintenance, we just talked about this. This is for fiscal year 21. We've obligated all those funds. That was the 1.9 that the governor released in January of this year. We've done roofs, replacements. They're in the process, HVAC, parking lot, so on and so forth. This is the anticipated, and this is what we were talking about earlier with the legislature being in session. We have two things that are out there, $644,000 for Scanlon Hall and 2.5. We are anticipating spending it in this way, and that is the Scanlon Hall. And we have spent that, whether we get it or not. We'll have to spend it because we also have contractual obligations with Kansas City Chiefs for camp. But Josh has assured me he can raise that amount. So I'm just joking. But we've got some elevators that we have some issues and some ADA issues that we'll be correcting. And then the parking lots and resurfacing and resealing numbers there. And then classrooms, we've got some money set aside of that, roof and window replacements, trying to take care of some things. We have, believe it or not, we have windows that leak around here. It's just hard to imagine, but we do. But we're working on that and getting those corrected. Okay. I went through that rather quickly, but please let me know if you have questions or comments or concerns. Okay.
On the American Rescue Plan Act.
Yes.
5 points. Is there restrictions
Yes.
on that of what we can
Yes.
spend that on?
Yes. One of the issues that we're facing, the portion of the American Rescue Plan that is for higher education, we do not have the latitude to use it for infrastructure the way the county and the city and the state government does. Their piece they can use for those things, but the higher ed piece is silent and is more restrictive on what we can use it on. Okay. So we'll look at, there's a lot of good things and we can push the limit on some things, right, to get where we need to be. But, you know, we can't use it for for the infrastructure that we would like to be able to use. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm aware that we recently had a dorm where the air conditioning went out in the
Yes.
middle of the
Yes.
intense heat.
Yes.
Was that a breakdown or it was being upgraded?
A part went out. A part went out.
And what
we
is
had-
our policy, you know, like whether it's heat or air during freezing cold or blazing hot times in terms of reimbursement or how do
Well,
we protect those people?
What we have done on this one, the one you're referring to, we had some out of town students that were here for a camp, a football camp in particularly. We have reduced the room rate by 50% for that night.
Well, I know some people that lived there that didn't have air conditioning for 3 nights.
We can
So
reach
I
out and we'll
don't- I
talk to
just
them.
think we
Yeah,
need- I mean,
we'll
you know,
we'll do that sort of thing. I will tell you, I'm not the HVAC guy, okay?
No,
But
me
I will
either.
tell you what has happened though, okay? We have 2 units. One of the single units was still operating, right? It just, when 100-degree temperatures,
Oh,
that single unit could not keep up. It was
I was just very.
It was made
happy.
worse. It was made worse because the students that were in there decided to open the windows. And so it really became an issue
I
and
mean,
couldn't
is it-
keep up.
Broken, so like, I mean, do we need to do something? That's all I was worried about.
Yeah,
Like, if
actually,
Patrick
it's already
Mahomes
been,
was
it's been
in there-
prepared, it's been repaired. One of the issues, right now that we face on anything mechanical, and I don't know if anyone else is facing this in their personal business or not, but supply chain is really having an
Oh, yeah,
issue.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so what used to get us apart overnight now takes a week. And
If
that's
you're
another
lucky.
issue we're having. But yes, we have been trying to work and discount or reduce
I was just
bills
hoping
and
we were
things.
being proactive because I'm assuming if the chief
We are.
players were in those buildings and the air went
Right.
out, they probably wouldn't ever. come
No,
here again.
as a matter of fact, the one the Chiefs are going to be in has brand new heating. Okay. This is in the newest resident hall was Vardabedian is the one where this occurred at. So, and it's not at the end of life or even close to the end of life on that equipment. So, okay. I do have one other, and I failed to include this in there. There are 3 highlighted items on this, and this is just a correction to the tuition and fees that were approved at the last board meeting. The Cinnamon Technology fee, I failed to include that is a per credit hour fee on that. And the graphic design, there's an additional 40 depending on the type of course. And that the art materials for the interactive software, there's a $40 that's been added. So those items are denoted in red, the changes, and I would just ask for your approval on this. Just an oversight on mine and my staff's part when we put this together.
You're seeking a motion just for those adjustments.
Just for
of what we
yes,
prior-
yes. I just took what we approved last time and am asking for those 3 to be approved so that everything's above, and out in the open that we have board approval on.
Anybody have any questions about the course fee adjustment? If not, would seek a motion to approve the fiscal year 21-22 course fee adjustment as presented by Mr. Morrison. A motion? A second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that topic? If not, all those in favor of the course fee changes for the next fiscal year, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The course fee adjustments are approved.
Thank you. Ending on a happy note. We talked, I am.
You're ending on a happy note?
I am.
Oh, how exciting.
Ready?
Always.
Before, after. This is the air. One of the air units. Yes. This one is not. This is in one of our academic buildings,
Okay.
but yes, but there's very similar
Maybe we
things.
should have moved them there.
Before, this is an old air handling system and controls and things. Here's the new one. This is what the money's done. This is a rooftop air condenser on the left. There's the new one. This is the kind of thing that we've done on campus. Brian Atkins, Brian here, Josh mentioned, these guys, Corey Stewart, they are just phenomenal and working so hard. Here's some of our curb and guttering that we had issues. I left out the picture where there was a 7-foot sinkhole underneath there that we had to fill in. But this is a before and after there. Here's some of these fabulous parking lots we've been talking about. Here's the before. Is that your, Governor Barry, is that your vehicle? Okay. Here's what we've got now, guys. Okay. Here's a nice little service drive that we had and what we have now, right? This is the view. Brian Atkins was very happy with this photo and he wanted me to be sure and share this one. This is the view from the physical plant looking across I-29 and what you can see as you go down I-29, looking at our campus, okay? And then here is the steps outside the union. I wished I'd have had it before, but it really resembled what this is down at the bottom. Okay, they were all broken up and this is underway now and they should have that finished up today. And that's on the east side of campus, right? Right out here, whatever. I'm directionally challenged, okay? And then here we are, no more pool. The Griffin in the center of campus. We've moved that, filled that in, taken care of it. It really looks nice. And our interest, and we're still working on that. The grounds crew's doing a tremendous job trying to keep up with the grass and flowers and whatnot. Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Morrison?
I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments. And they go back, when we could, put the committees into effect, and as chair of the, Personnel, Finance, and Operation Committee, and my two colleagues who talk about coming in and whatever, Governor Norton and Governor Woolman, it's been a real learning curve for them and all of us as we went through this. We have focused primarily on the finance side of things. And I know the other committees are doing the same thing. The really good news, and we got a ways to go yet, but those committees, or at least in my view, our committee is doing very well. We just need to keep going the way we're going. And so I just wanted for everybody to know, and I appreciate my colleagues and the time, because you have to put the time in to get it done. But we're doing that as a comment.
Thank you, and to all for the behind the scenes work with that. Very, very quality work. I know we've been here for 2 hours. We're kind of looking to take the break before we go into executive session. We'll still keep going. If we need to take one, we can a little bit sooner, but I would now.
Yeah, everybody's already said everything you're going to say. Sign a good leader.
Governor Barry still has the opportunity to say some things that you were going to say, I guess. So I will turn this over to Hannah for the student governor report.
My written remarks can be found very briefly on page 55. It's not a whole lot to say as a student during the summer, unless you are participating in a shortened and rigorous academic semester, which many are, myself included. But student government and faculty all across campus are working on big plans for the fall semester. So I hope that students who may be watching are excited. And I know personally, SGA is really looking forward to welcoming students across campus to our meetings again and to more in-person events. So that's all I have.
Good. Any questions or comments for Governor Barry? Thank you, Hannah. So I would turn it over to President Kennedy for the president, Dr. Kennedy for the president's report, and President Kennedy for the doctor's report.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, governors, chair, team, and vice chair. It is a great pleasure to welcome the board back to Missouri Western. It's been several weeks since we've gathered here together, but we're happy to have you here, as well as members of the audience here in person. This is definitely a change for us. And before I get too far into my report, I would like to formally introduce to the board Dr. Mark Manganero. Mark, if you would please stand. He joined us on campus this past Monday. He arrived in St. Joe a week ago tomorrow, right? So it's a very short tenure, but we've really worked to bring him up to speed and get him on board. We're happy to have you. And he will be serving in this role as interim while our search for the permanent provost continues with the search firm academic search. So if you would just please join me in welcoming Dr. Manganero. And as has been noted on your arrival, you probably noticed many of our bright gold GOAT signs. That's because we are fully engaged in Griffin orientation programs, and those have started. Dr. Mace reported on the numbers. I just want to say I have personally had the pleasure of speaking at these events, welcoming the students and their families. I want to thank members of our administration who have also done so, as well as many of our staff and our students who are working to make everyone feel welcome and to make this a great day, welcoming our new Griffin family members. The energy is quite amazing at these events, and I've received very good feedback. So kudos to Dr. Mace and her entire team on that. So as we look to fall, let's consider that, first of all, we have much of summer left, and we can talk about a few things there. So some of the things that have kept us busy and as we've brought people back to campus is our several youth sports. I think it's really exciting too that we will be holding a Griffin Esports youth camp, which will be July 5th through the 9th. And it is offered as a true gaming experience with our cutting edge technology and our facility fees. This camp is incredibly innovative. I've heard from a lot of parents around town. They're excited about getting their kiddos rolled in. And so I know that spots are filling fast. Also this summer, we are very proud to host again the Road to Success, our Entrepreneur Week. If you remember last year, the week was virtual, the lunch was socially distanced and limited in number. This year, we expect it to be very exciting back in person, and this will be July 12th through the 16th. And this promises, based on the RSVPs, to be well attended as well. And then, of course, we've heard about Chiefs Camp. I did want to mention, as was reported in News Press Now, Commissioner Ron Hook talked about the economic impact of the Chiefs Camp to the city of St. Joseph, which is very significant to our community, our local businesses, and hospitality industry. I'm very proud that Missouri Western is able to add to our local economy by bringing Chiefs to campus and their fan base back to town. I look forward to the excitement that this will generate for Missouri Western and the opportunity to get some wonderful publicity for campus, but also for the city of St. Joseph. I do want to thank Dr. Josh Looney for his leadership and his work in getting this finalized. And before we even head there and get started, I want to recognize the many staff whose work will be critical to our ability to be great hosts for the Chiefs. Steve Johnston and I are currently hammering out details about Missouri Western's VIP tent, and we will keep you posted as those details arrive. I'm sure, Josh, your phone's been blowing up. Mine's been blowing up. People asking, So as we continue our fall planning, we are still eagerly anticipating a return to a quote unquote normal college campus experience. We have had two significant updates to our campus COVID-19 protocols. Again, based on recommendations for our own campus COVID response team, and thus far based on local, state, and national health organizations such as the CDC. You have noticed we have relaxed our mask mandate for individuals who are fully vaccinated. And number two, our classrooms and laboratories at this point are slated to return to pre-pandemic capacity levels. That means moving back to traditional classrooms. For example, taking some of the larger classes that we were holding here for social distancing, physical distancing, putting them back in the classrooms and increasing the number of students. Now, I am frequently asked two questions about the fall semester and our COVID-19 protocols. As Governor Norton has mentioned, and as some of you hopefully are noting, our cases in the county have been rising. However, first of all, no, Missouri Western State University will not be mandating that students or employees be vaccinated before arriving for the fall semester. Rather, we are strongly encouraging that individuals get vaccinated. Individuals who are not fully vaccinated are required to wear masks and maintain physical distancing while, among others, on campus. Yes, this does require that we all follow the Griffin honor system because we will not be checking individuals' vaccination records. However, vaccines provide enormous protection against spreading and getting COVID, which brings me to the second question I'm asked, right? Are we going to have a vaccine clinic here? Well, as I've mentioned in other reports, our campus team has been meeting up throughout its existence, and we had much good conversation about this. In fact, we explored the idea of bringing a vaccination clinic to our Griffin Orientation Centers. So if we had a clinic here, when we had students, new students coming in, we could offer them vaccines, we could offer to their families. We were even thinking of offering it to employees, staff, and those kinds of things. So we did a survey of all of the students. We sent out 150 items to prospective students coming in. If you're coming for orientation, would you be interested in getting a vaccine? Of those that we sent out, we had 4 positive responses. So we pulled that back a little bit and we said, maybe if we do something closer to fall, closer to the start of the semester, we are exploring partnering with a local pharmacy to get that set up. We might have more interest. Keep in mind, every year we hold flu vaccine clinics on campus, right? And we are very hopeful that we might be able to get something in on that. Now, as our COVID response team will be resuming regular meetings in the middle of July, we will keep everyone on campus, and the governor certainly informed about this, right? I do have to say, have been based on conversations and watching the data and watching what's going on. I would like to strongly encourage every member of our Griffin family who can do so to get vaccinated so that we can keep our university safe, healthy, and most importantly, open and operational. And operational and open means returning to normal functioning. So with that in mind, for fall 2021, we are coming back. And as has been mentioned, our marketing and promotion efforts to build community awareness and branding our university. We're emphasizing our affordable excellence in education and providing the collegiate experience. Our student programming calendar for the upcoming academic year has well over 500 activities planned thus far, and I'm personally incredibly excited to participate in many of Missouri Western's traditional events. I would like to remind the governors too, we are this year hosting the 27th annual R. Dan Bulwer Convocation on Critical Issues. It will be held at 10 a.m. on Thursday, September 30th in the Looney Complex area. And this year's distinguished speaker is Dr. Arthur C. Brooks. And his presentation will focus on Love Your Enemies, Uniting a Divided America. Quite timely. And so, as I like to say, Missouri Western is moving forward with clear direction and sure purpose. We are coming back. Some other university initiatives I wanted to report on. I wanted to piggyback a little bit and highlight what Provost Davenport had mentioned about the 4 new programs that were approved by Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development. The cybersecurity program, the Bachelor's in Respiratory Therapy, our certificate in early childhood education, and our Master's of Arts in Teaching. These are 4 programs that will have demonstrated student demand. They will allow us to provide graduates who will fill our workforce and regional needs. I'm very excited about building these programs and I see great promise in them. I do want to say too, that I am incredibly grateful for the dedicated efforts of our faculty and administrators in their work to get these 4 new programs through. They have done so at lightning speed. These 4 programs were approved through our internal and our external programs in about a semester's time. And that is amazing. That happens to be the pace I like to work at, but I am very grateful that they got that work done. A little bit about community engagement and relations. As I always mention, my efforts to infuse Missouri Western into our community, to engage, re-engage, repair, build, seek out opportunities to connect with a host of individuals, our community, regional business, and industry leaders, as well as elected officials, in order to promote the university in every way possible. Okay. In May of this year, Missouri Western was a featured partner during St. Joseph's Uncommon Character Campaign for that entire month. And the theme focused on St. Joseph as a university town. I presented on all things Missouri Western to the Community Alliance Board just earlier this week and was able to premiere one of the soon to be released Uncommon Character videos, which will highlight Missouri Western. The videos are pushed out via social media, and Community Alliance uses data analytics to track the viewers and other audience information. It's really good work to see who's looking at our videos and how long are they watching them and where they're coming from. Also, for many of you who are in the room, you were with us on Saturday night. Missouri Western hosted the St. Joseph Chamber of Commerce 2021 annual banquet. I understand that slightly over 600 people attended the event, as well as the pre-event reception. And despite the heat, because it was rather warm, I have received so many positive comments about our campus, our facilities, how the banquet went, and those kinds of things. It's just a pleasure for me to be able to see so many in the community who came to see our beautiful university and to experience it. It was hot, yes, but it was a smashing success. So. And then finally, as mentioned too, we continue to engage with the governor, Missouri Department of Higher Education Workforce Development, our state legislators related to the fiscal year 22 budget. We do remain cautiously optimistic that the special session of the General Assembly, as called by Governor Parson, will prove fruitful, which, as mentioned, will result in significant positive impact for Missouri Western. We'll see what this session brings early next week, but again, remain cautiously optimistic. And I'm confident if that goes through, that will help us move in the right direction. The last thing I would like to do today, and I'm going to move to the podium and ask Dr. Davenport to come up with me. So as a tradition in academia, when you have one of your senior leaders retiring, it is often to recognize his or her work. And what we have crafted for Provost Davenport is a proclamation of the president and the Board of Governors of Missouri Western State University. So with your indulgence, I'd like to read this just quickly. It says, whereas Dr. Douglas Davenport came to Missouri Western State University on January 5th, 2015, as Associate Provost for Planning, Research, and Institutional Effectiveness. And whereas in his role as Associate Provost, Dr. Davenport oversaw Missouri Western's accreditation efforts, including the successful reaffirmation of accreditation by the Higher Learning Commission in 2017, and led the team that authored Missouri Western's strategic plan, Pathways to Excellence. And whereas in 2018, Dr. Davenport assumed the role of interim provost and vice president for academic affairs and was named to that position on a permanent basis in 2019. And whereas as provost, Dr. Davenport launched several initiatives to advance the strategic plan, including the Center for Teaching and Learning and the Provost Fellows Program, and accepted additional leadership responsibilities for the Division of Student Affairs in 2020. And whereas Dr. Davenport extends his service to higher education beyond the campus of Missouri Western, serving as a consultant and evaluator and as a peer reviewer for the Higher Learning Commission. And whereas Dr. Davenport has approached his duties and responsibilities with grace, humor, professionalism, and above all, a commitment to the success of Missouri Western students, and through his leadership, leaves Missouri Western a stronger institution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 23rd day of June 2021, on behalf of the Board of Governors and the students, faculty, staff, administrators, and alumni of Missouri Western State University, we do hereby express the university's deep admiration and gratitude for Dr. Douglas Davenport for his years of service to Missouri Western, and congratulate him on his planned retirement on June 30th, 2021. That's for you. Thank you.
Well, again, I am grateful for the opportunity to serve this university. I believe investing in people is the most important thing any of us do. And for me, the joy of serving at Missouri Western revolves around the people, faculty, the staff, and especially the students. I'm grateful, and I have so many great memories of people and the things that we've accomplished here. I'm grateful to everyone, and thank you so much for this. Appreciate it.
And that concludes my report. I'm happy to take questions if anyone at the governor's office.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Kennedy? Thank you very much. That will move us to my report, which I really don't have much with that. Just one item of business to lead to, which will be our election of officers for the next year. Just that kind of segueing into that, a little bit of opportunity to reflect on the past 2 years. Being in the executive officer here, I am looking forward to the opportunity to slide down the table, I guess, a little bit. We have a tremendous board, an outstanding slate of officers that I believe are going to get elected today. Vice Chair Ebersold has been a very vital and integral part of the executive team for the past year, and I look forward to that continued leadership with that. And like I said, our board, everyone here is by definition a leader, and we all serve in different capacities and get some different opportunities with that. I know in looking back at the last 2 years, the first couple months of that, this seems to go well. Then there was a year that became a second full-time job. But I am incredibly optimistic for this university of how the last several months have been with that, and with continued leadership we have in place and new direction with this board. I know that we're going to continue with that, and I couldn't be more excited or more optimistic. One of the last things that I had done was to appoint Governor Landis and Governor Norton to the nominating committee. And does your committee have a recommendation for this board?
Speaking for myself and Governor Norton, the answer is yes. We recommend Rick Ebersold as chairman, Governor Ebersold, and Kayla Schoonover, Governor Schoonover, as vice chairman. And we're prepared to put that in the form of motion, if so called.
And I believe that does need to be in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I can second it. I don't know if that's okay, but
No, I think that's absolutely appropriate that you second that. Is there any other discussion with that outstanding job? I will put my comment on there. If there is no other discussion with that, I will call for the vote to approve the nominating committee's recommendation that the 2021-2022 chairman be Rick Ebersold, and the vice chair be Kayla Schoonover. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Congratulations, that motion passes. Just for a little bit of clarity, though, on that is that becomes effective July 1. So we'll try not to do anything crazy in the last week with that. But at the next meeting, the officers will be in place, and we'll even actually take office before then. So congratulations to both of you. I believe there a little bit of housekeeping with that is the board does have a treasurer and secretary position with that are not appointed governors. Our CFO has historically served as the treasurer and the the secretary or executive assistant to the president has been the secretary for the board. So do we have a motion for Daryl Morrison to be the CFO for the next fiscal year and for Betsy Wright to be the secretary to this board for the next year? Have a motion. Have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Mr. Morrison and Ms. Wright will be the treasurer and secretary respectively for this board for the next year. If there, or one final thing, our next scheduled board meeting that I alluded to will be Thursday, August 19th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. In this room. Is there any other business comments right now? Hearing none. Oh,
There is.
Lee, I'd like to present you a token of our appreciation for your outstanding leadership. You have done a tremendous job. Board appreciates it. I'm sure that the staff and faculty does too. It's been a hard road. I, as the vice chair, really appreciate all that you've done. And I thank you for not skipping out and leaving me. I know that President Kennedy is very appreciative of your work. Please accept this on behalf of our board.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Rick, and to Elizabeth and everyone. Obviously, I'm just sliding down. I'm not leaving. It's a for all of us, it's a labor of love. And so I appreciate your sentiments, and I could reciprocate that back to every one of you and very much appreciate everyone here. Moving forward, it will be a vote held to close the meeting now pursuant to Missouri statutes 610.021, sections 1, 2, 3, and 14 to consider legal matters, real estate, personnel, and other matters protected by law. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of going into closed executive session for the reasons stated, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Okay, after, we will go into executive session after a short break. Thank
Did
you.
you say August 19th?
Yes.
August 19th.
Hold on.
What he said.
Till we go.
Make sure I heard it right.
Yeah. Get the calendar out, right?
Okay, we just ended our closed executive session and have returned to our open meeting. Request a motion to approve the personnel recommendations as were presented in the closed session.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the personnel recommendations as presented in closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The personnel recommendations as presented in closed sessions are hereby approved. Is there any other business? Hearing none,